two of my guests in the studio, and I'll let you know who is coming on the show this morning, and then we take it from there. My guests, a regular panelist, an editor-in-chief of the New Crusading Guide newspaper, Abdul Malik Kwekubako, is in the studio, and as usual, getting his documents in shape. We will be joined by Roxanne Nelson, E.K. Dafamapo. He's MP, South Dai, and member, Constitutional, Legal, and Judicial Committees of Parliament. Also, to join us will be Inus Afuseni, who is MP, Tamale Central, and ranking member, Legal and Constitutional Committee of Parliament. In the studio here right now, just like Kojo Kwekubako, is Kojo Opong Nkrumah. He's MP of Fuase Ayerebi and Deputy Minister of Information. Gentlemen, good morning and welcome to Newsfile.
Good morning.
Good to have you. I think I've seen, is it Nelson or who, getting ready to come on. All right, so guys, get ready and let's get the show going. And it is important, particularly the manner in which I wanted us to start. I'm sure that even in the absence, we can start because they are listening. And when they come, they will let us hear what they have to say about it, because we are starting on the note of the freshest issue on the table, and that has to do with an issue that is still developing with the NDC. And surprisingly, ironically, a party that appears to be imploding while it is on a restructuring and unity process. How do you explain that? Just yesterday alone, about 3 different statements came out. There was a statement from the 10 regional chairmen who endorsed, quote unquote, endorsed the candidacy for the flag bearership. That's John Mahama. They say they didn't actually endorse. It is our interpretation of their statement. We'll read that to you and you tell us whether we don't understand English. And then the former president's office also issued a statement, actually stating that what was being done was premature and that he will not declare whether he will contest or not now. Then we had a group that says it is concerned NDC youth that also took on the chairman for what they did. And within the NDC, there's such disagreement, obviously very terrible for them at this moment. We deal with that, and then we go to see how land is sold as Kelewele. I'm talking about prime land in Accra. It's sold as Kelewele at one point and sold as Toffee at another point. According to the lands minister, the NDC sold lands as though they were selling Kelewele. According to Inus Afuseni, who was in that office, the NPP sold the lands as though they were selling toffees. We'll get to find out what exactly is going on within these parties. And of course, it's a very important thing, very, very important for Kojo Opong Nkrumah and the NDC too on the table this morning. It's the bond issue. Right. Great. So, Roxanne, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Good to have you.
Yeah,
all right. So, how do you appreciate what is going on within the NDC? First, there was supposed to be a unity walk. And out of this unity walk, we'll talk about the other things that came up, what the president had to say about 419 GPS system. And, you know, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's response to him, a response that many seem to say is unprecedented. And there are others who also say the former president was also unstatesmanlike, yes, unstatesmanlike in the manner in which he also described it. Dr. Bawumia claims that the president was so ignorant, he didn't have information, he doesn't read, really. We'll check all of that. But before we do that, out of that place, you are being accused of having projected John Mahama above all the people who were there, the hopefuls who were there that day. And people are not happy about that. Out of that, you have had chairmen of the party, 10 from all the regions, come to meeting, and after the meeting, issue a statement. And they say that at a meeting held today, Thursday, November 9, 2017 in Cantonment, Accra, with His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, former President of the Republic of Ghana, we, the 10 regional chairpersons of the National Democratic Congress, NDC, have, 1, invited the former President to, as a matter of urgency, embark on the delayed and much awaited thank you tour to thank supporters of the NDC for supporting him through his tenure and the party over the years. 2, called on His Excellency John Dramani Mahama to consider the request of teaming supporters of the NDC and Ghanaians to lead the party to the 2020 general elections. Thank you. And then they put their names there, the regions they come from, and then all of them have signed. Then the President's office issued a statement yesterday seeking to suggest that this was not good.
Former President.
The former President. I have difficulty saying former and all of that. Right. So all is certainly not well. There's a youth group that say this is so wrong.
It's not though all is not well with the NDC. It is well with us. The difficulty is that we as a party have decided that upon auditing the events leading to our loss at the last elections, we have resolved to reorganize, re-strategize, and move forward. Now, as part of that reorganization, we have also decided to re-register our members, to recapture, as it were, the persons who truly identify with us in a register. Now, as part of the processes, NEC issued a timeline as to what should be done when, all the way stretching to a year from now. So as we speak, this November and December, we ought to be registering our people.
That's not what you are discussing now.
That's what we are discussing.
As far as the NDC is concerned, you're discussing in the public, as we know, even in closets. It's not about these fine things that have been laid out.
No, I'm building a base.
It's about a clandestine move.
I am building a base.
To push someone ahead of all other
I'm
candidates.
building a base.
Right.
And so superintending these processes critically are the regional executives. And the primus inter pares among these regional executives are the chairmen. All right? Under whose aegis the regional electoral committees will work out the modalities.
Right.
Now we are struggling to even receive the registers for the registration to be done. Then you regional ministers go to meet, regional chairman.
Regional chairman, right.
Go to meet with the former president. And after the meeting, you issue this statement. I am all for JM. But I am saying now, JM is being seen as if it's being favored by others who have intentions of contesting him. You don't endorse what they did? No, at all. You don't? No. They are wrong. You see, when JM beat all the other candidates, when the election is, during the elections.
How different is what they have done from what all of you have been saying all along? And you just said here, you are all for JM.
I am not a party executive. So leave that to me to say. I am not a party executive.
But you are a member of parliament.
I am a member of parliament. So I can do that. I am with the grassroots, I am with the people at the grassroots level. So I can feel their pulse. Let me say so. But when you are an executive and you are supposed to remain neutral, you see, as part of our constitutions, 7 executives are not supposed to take sides in persons or along with persons who are contesting for party positions. And so when you do that, then you are effectively saying that I will not give audience to others who have such clear intentions.
When you do what you have just done, when you do what you have just done,
yes.
Are you also saying that your constituents, those who vote for you and will vote for you, the next time should vote for you and John Mahama only?
No, that's
so
not
if any other candidates, Phil Gabriel and Sylvester Mensah, come to them, they should ignore them.
You know, that's not what we are saying. I am only saying hypothetically that leave that for the MPs who are with the people at the grassroots to do. But you, the regional chairman or regional executives or national executives, ought not to do that. Because constitutionally speaking, in terms of the NDC scheme of things, you are supposed to remain neutral.
They are Ghanaians first, like you also want to proclaim.
So then resign. But you see, the other issue too is that the candidates who are going around, who are moving around, as if the party has open nominations for them to pick up forms and contest. What they are doing is also irregular. So I can understand why the regional chairman will want to do this to bring some sanity. That yes, we are of this position that we think that in the scheme of things we should allow JM to come back and do his remainder term, which is 4 years. You know, so within the scheme of our constitution, they ought to be reprimanded. I agree. I said it yesterday. They should be cautioned to desist from that, so that the reorganization at the grassroots can take off effectively. When we are done.
Did you say what you just said about condemning them or reprimanded? Did you say that earlier, or you said that after the NEC had issued this statement also suggesting that, you know, certain things ought not to be done?
No, I said it earlier. I spoke about this matter yesterday. Yes, I was interviewed and I made my position well known on the matter. It throws a lot of things out of gear, you know, particularly at the regional and the constituency level where our strengths are really based.
Okay.
And so we think that they should remain neutral for now until the coast is clear.
I see.
Yes.
What they have done, they have sinned. According to the youth group, which also issued a statement, they have sinned against the NDC's constitution.
Indeed.
And the punishment for that sin is that they should be made to step aside. You are saying they should be reprimanded. Why?
A reprimand is a form of a disciplinary measure. And so the stepping aside is a decision that the disciplinary committee, is a recommendation.
They say that yes. Here, we are hereby appealing to the NEC, that's the National Executive Committee,
yes,
and Council of Elders, to ask the 10 infamous and lawless regional chairmen to step aside and allow peace to prevail. Their unethical and irresponsible conduct has jeopardized the reorganization process. Their demeanor amounts to anti-party conduct, which merits suspension from the party for a period of time.
As much as I agree with the position they have taken, I think that in the spirit of reorganization, when we need everybody's efforts on board, a reprimand will do. A reprimand.
I see.
Will do.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
And not the stepping aside.
I'd like you to say, News of Seni is getting ready, and I wish that we were able to speak to him before we move to the non-NDC persons.
Oh, you speak with non-NDC person.
Of course, Kuku is not an NDC person.
Kuku, are you a non-NDC person?
And Kojo Oponko obviously wasn't voted for on the ticket of the NDC.
That I agree.
Right. Why? Why don't you like to
became my MP? He was my very good friend.
Right. So good morning and welcome. And maybe you should take it from where Roxanne ends. How do you take what is going on in the party now? The youth group that have expressed concern say what the 10 regional chairmen have done jeopardizes the reorganization process. Agree?
No, I don't agree.
Why?
The reorganization process is a process of the party. It's the party that is going to reorganize. Yes, it's important that and relevant, the contribution of the chairman will be relevant to the reorganization process. But the party as a party has structures and a formula for reorganization. And so the expression of their views will in no way affect the reorganization process. No way. I mean, and we've done the reorganization before. In 2001. We went around all over the country and reorganized the party. What is reorganization? Reorganization, we said it here before. Reorganization is simply that you get the branches to elect their branch executives. Move on to the constituency, get constituencies, to elect constituency executives.
Registration first.
Because the branch executive will have to be put in place to elect. Then when they get the constituency executive, they will be in place to elect the regional.
Right.
And then the regional will elect the national. And when we get all that, then we'll convene a conference and go and elect our flag bearer. Then we'll come back and elect our MPs. That's the reorganization of the party. That's different from going around to reconcile the party. If you said what they are saying might affect the reconciliation process, then that's a different thing. But reorganization, no, nothing.
The reorganization must accord to democratic tenets, right?
Yes.
The Constitution imposes that duty on political parties.
Yes.
So whilst you are about doing that,
Yes.
do you find that what is going on now is going to have people aligned and particular people getting favored when they are being voted for from bottom up? Because you ought to be identified that you support the popular candidate, so to speak, or you are an enemy.
Oh, no.
And the party machinery, often we have seen, is used against you.
No, it doesn't work that way. And we have said it before. We saw it in MPP. And here again, when we were discussing the election of Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, we said it. That look, if he decides, and that time he had not even indicated his intention to contest. I remember I was here with Osla.
Esla, yeah.
Esla. And I said, look, even though Nana Addo Akufo-Addo has not said he wants to contest the flag bearership, and immediately after the 2012 elections and the court
declaration,
he said he was taking time to reflect.
Yes, and the party chairman decided otherwise.
And we said it here on this platform that look, because of the groundswell of support for Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, if he decides to come out to contest,
one of Kode's favorite words, groundswell.
Yes, he will be a man to beat. We said it here. And so, and that never affected the reorganization process of the MPP. Never. The fact that the party chairman met and declared their support for Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, I actually appealed to him and told him that it will be a mistake of catastrophic proportions if he decides not to contest.
The NDC criticized that process as undemocratic, and to say that the NPP that claimed to be democratic was not democratic after all. And then when there were problems within the NPP at its party offices, you referred to these things, okay? And then when Kwabena Japan and the rest were suffering, you referred to these things as, you know, grand agenda that started with the party chairman, you know, exactly.
Yeah, but
the same thing is repeating in your party. Now, you don't find anything wrong with it.
No, we have political talk. And we have the reality.
Really? Come on.
You understand? My brother. You do. My brother. If His Excellency John Dramani Mahama decides to contest, and we've said it before, I remember my brother Abdul Malik Kokobako on this platform. He will be a man to beat if he decides to contest. Now, and the scheming going on is precisely because people see that because he's been vice president, he's been president, and because the structures, the way they are presently constituted, might be skewed to his advantage. That's why they are already raising issue.
So what the chairman did was not wrong?
No, I mean,
what happened at Cape Coast 2, where he was projected over everybody else, was nothing wrong?
Why? Who else was there that needed projection?
Who else was not there?
Who else was there that needed projection? I'm not saying that.
Who else was not there? There were other hopefuls there.
No, but we have not declared. You see, that's the mistake we have made. We have not declared any nomination for flag bearership.
That's the point I made.
We have not. So why do you say that flag bearer hopefuls? Have you heard that?
They are not happy.
NDC has opened nominations for flag bearers.
Of course, but they are not happy.
But we have a former president.
But they could have spoken.
Who was the leader of the party until 7th December 2016 when he lost elections.
Okay.
Two former presidents.
And the other one too was there? Was not there.
The old man was not there.
He was not there. And that, and then he was the flag bearer of the party in the 2016 elections. I mean, unless of course we want to rewrite the rules. Now, if we declare the nominations for the flag bearership, and people put in their nominations, who says that those who are going around hoping to be flag bearers will eventually file for a flag bearership? Nobody knows. This is a serious party.
And Namwale has just withdrawn.
But he was very vociferous. My good friend Namwale, who nobody knows. Namwale, who knows?
You say the chairman didn't do anything wrong. When you read the statement from the former president's office, signed by Joyce Bar Muhtari, his special aide, do you find that it does appear it could be just for the purposes of for the public, because he may have endorsed everything they did before him? But do you find that he doesn't seem to agree with them, particularly for the point 2, where they are calling on him to consider a request? They are clear about it, that it is premature. And this is not the first time the former president is saying so. Also, you have the Functional Executive Committee that have also issued a warning that those who are seeking to contest the various offices, should stop, vilifying potential candidates, because that's going on.
What do you expect former President Mahama to say, or his spokesperson to say? That they endorse it?
So it's political talk.
It's endorse it. What do you expect them to say? You have endorsed me, and I know that as a responsible person, former president, I know that the party structures must be obeyed. What do I say? I say, like, look, well, I appreciate what you have done, but it's premature. It's premature. Simple.
Okay. All right, Kwaku, I can see you underlining portions of the statement issued by the former president.
Oh boy, politics.
Yeah, that's politics.
See, let's first start with the unity talk.
Right.
Apparently, the unity talk is not officially sanctioned by the party, or better put, it's not a party-sponsored initiative.
Is it talk or walk?
Walk. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's officially sponsored because it's a Kwesi Botwe recommendation.
No, that was supposed to be healing tour.
Oh, I
and
see.
I'm told the Council of Elders have already done that, apparently in secrecy, just the same way they are keeping the report under wraps. But there's an extension between the healing tour that was recommended by the committee's report, and this unity walk, which we are told, at least the Central Regional Chairman made it clear on the Kokroko program last Wednesday, that was being sponsored by Kojo Bonso and Akamba, and for that matter, their allies. Now, I said, wow, that's interesting. But they are using the party structures and party platform to sponsor this whole initiative. Obviously, they do mobilization of logistics, resources, and funding. Since it's private, it means it's within their own context. It appears the party has no knowledge of how much is being raised, for what purpose, and at which time. I find that also interesting, that a party of that size and nature will allow such things to be done anyhow. In any case, they apply the party platform. They mobilize party members and supporters from the various constituencies to take part in this kind of exercise. And there they project some particular personality, in this case, President Mahama, who I have said is the most competitive and formidable aspirant, if you like, potential aspirant in their contest. They may say nothing has been officially announced, yes, but we are in the media. We hear all sorts of people talking and projecting themselves here and there. I could classify all of them as potential aspirants. That's what they are. Now, you do that, and you ignore the fact that it has its own implications. Indeed, I am aware. Some of the potential aspirants who were at Cape Coast and were not given the opportunity to talk
Spew and Co, they were all there.
They are not happy. If they are not prepared to say it publicly, I am saying so. Because some of themselves and their allies have been in touch with sections of the media and have lamented that this is what is happening.
That's true.
And the rebuttal coming is, oh, but this is not a party platform. The party has not announced any program for you to show yourself. So what's the big deal? But the big deal is that President Mahama is being projected, and it's needless. When the Akufo-Addo one was happening, on this very platform, we said so. I said that I was over-competitive. Compared to all the so-called aspirants then, there was no way anybody was going to beat him. So Sir John had a problem with me. For almost a year, we were not on talking terms. That they had no business doing that to Akufo-Addo, who, as Fuseni is saying, had even then not announced. So the point we were making was it was needless, and its needlessness brings tension, unwarranted.
It did, and it brought a lot of it.
It did.
And it's happening now.
Our friends are playing the ostrich. They are saying, oh, no, it's not affecting reorganization, it's not affecting re-registration, oh, it's not bad. Then another level, you say, oh, it's politics.
In the MPP at the party primaries level, it was huge in certain places.
Yes, so it is how, well, they may end up being able to manage it the way the MPP also managed it. Nobody knows. I'm being speculative here. But we have to be honest with ourselves and admit that is a needless exercise that brings about unwarranted tension within the party. It discriminates.
Right.
It makes some members of the party feel marginalized.
Right.
So that's the fact. Now, let's come to the substantives. See, the party, 10 regional chairmen, and they're doing what they did relative to the Males Kunedu battle too. Let's not forget.
Okay, the Fonka Games.
Yes, that also happened. There were declarations of support by the regional chairman for President Mills ahead of the, was it Sunyani or Kumasi Congress?
Right, Sunyani.
Yeah,
Sunyani
and all those two created problem. Again, some of us said, look, there was no way Mrs. Rawlings could compete favorably with President Mills. So President Mills didn't need that too. I'll tell you, and this I have no evidence, but see, these 10 regional chairmen, I think they are endangered species within the context of the primaries that may be coming. They see John Mahama as very popular, which it is true within the NDC. Anytime I say so, please note.
Yes,
I'm talking within NDC politics. And they know the primaries are coming. Their positions are not secured. That's the game they are playing. So they are tagging themselves onto the John Mahama ticket to hope. They are hoping against hope, perhaps, because some of them are casualties. Effectively, they lost the election, and they lost it so abysmally that right now their integrity, and I'm not talking of integrity, I'm talking of capacity. They, I have to be very careful with the choice of words.
Mobilize.
Yes,
political.
Yes, political credentials and things are endangered. That's why they could do such a desperate thing. That's so premature. Why worry yourself? But that's the game they are playing. It is to gather their own strength, regenerate some support for them.
So what happens to them eventually if John Mahama decided to not declare to be part of the contest?
They will suffer more. That's why, again, it shows that you see, it's tactless. They are not tactful. But let's proceed. The two things they asked the President Mahama to do, to embark on the thank you tour. Wouldn't it have been more appropriate if it came from the national leadership with a program? We have a program. We finished the healing tour, but this is the program we have, roadmap. So the candidate who led us into that abysmal performance of the 2016 elections, he definitely will have a prominent role.
And they are part of the national leadership, so they could push this.
Exactly. So there is something wrong. That's what I'm telling you. They are endangered species. It's a self-interest agenda that they are pursuing. Okay? The worst part is the one about the masses. They are conveying their request on behalf of the team.
Not only of the party, but Ghanaians.
And Ghanaians. That he should run. And they say that's not an endorsement. Who said? That's not Chinese. That's simple, straightforward English. And even though I'm book short, I understand it.
Chairman, at least says if you say this, then you don't.
No, I'm book short. That's a fact. But I can read the thing and understand. You are extending an invitation ahead of time to the most formidable candidate, aspirant of all those standing, and you say that's not an endorsement. You are closing the door to the others.
Okay.
And they see nothing wrong with that. They think it has no implications. It has no challenges for reorganization and for re-registration and for rejuvenation. They say it has no implication, no consequences. No, that's not smart politics. That's a crude form of politics.
As far as you're concerned, this will help the party.
They may be able to manage it eventually. As I'm saying, the MPP managed theirs.
Right.
Yes.
So don't you see that even the office of the former president disagrees with them when they say that in the statement that was issued and signed by Joyce Bar Mukhtari that the former president also advised leadership of the party to continue to work towards establishing a level playing field during the upcoming internal party elections.
Samson, no, I don't see it so. And good morning to my seniors here and to your viewers and listeners. It's a charade. That's my view of this. My senior Kwekubako does very interesting analysis of how the party in one breath says that these unity walks are not a party-sanctioned activity. It's literally a private enterprise within the party to achieve a particular purpose. And then we have the former president actively involved in it, being literally the sole guest speaker on these.
Face.
These are platforms created for him to touch base and to try and show up his numbers across. And he plays a very interesting game where when he gets on the platform, he says, it's too early for me to say I will contest, it's too early for me to say, but everybody knows and can see through it that that is exactly what is happening. And then they come for a meeting with him and issue the statement. Things are literally quiet from his office until the groundswell begins to speak against it. And then quickly they put the statement in that, oh no, like I said, it's a bit too early. I don't think that
so it's sort of a damage control.
I think that it's a game that is going on. And let me go through my issues. Today, many of the examples I'll be citing will seek to show two things. One, the double standards that His Excellency the former president, and he's a man that I personally like and admire very much, a lot of double standards in what he says and what he does, what the NDC is saying and doing. And also, secondly, what I'll be seeking to show you today in many of my submissions is the fact that the NDC does not pay attention to detail. And if I may proceed, let me just advance. My brother Roxanne...
Claudia says they don't read. You say they don't pay attention to detail.
Okay,
go ahead.
You will have to withdraw.
Let me table my evidence and then tell me that it's not true.
Go ahead.
My brother Roxanne himself tells us that when they started their exercise to reorganize, they realized that the most important thing to do now is to go back, do a register, get it together. And then he proceeds to say that, I'm quoting him word for word, he says that they are struggling to receive the registers. Not so?
Indeed, yes.
The most critical exercise that any party that really seeks to do a proper reorganization now has to focus on is to get its register together, is to heal its rank and file. If you go to the Kwesi Botwe committee report, which half of them say is not true, half of them are even willing to take other people on for, the report makes us understand that instead of focusing on the critical things like attending to the party base, attending to the needs of the country, the NDC was busy treating His Excellency the former president like a movie star, creating platforms for him to be branded and sold very heavily. Indeed, at a point, the brand JM and JM Twaso were better branded and marketed than the NDC itself as a brand. And you would expect or imagine that having gone the full circle and having come to this point, they will pay attention to that detail and tackle the most critical thing in the room. Yet, like he admits, quickly, they take their eye off that ball and they go back into the branding exercise. Isn't it interesting? So for me, I don't buy this. It's a very interesting arrangement where, it's like he's not interested, it's like he's contemplating, but you can begin to connect the dots. And I don't say this out of disrespect. I think it's a crafty strategy that is being employed. But you see, it's a strategy that deviates from the detail that they are being asked to attend to and to deal with. He makes another argument that MPs can say it, but the party executives cannot say it. Yet his answers to your subsequent questions betray the fact that it is, MPs are part of the party establishment. And it is the same thing throughout. So if party executives, if they support the former president, will have a difficulty in supporting whoever becomes candidate, then if you're an MP and you declare support now, what will you do if someone else wins? The argument falls flat. The second point I want to make is this. The NDC is further dividing itself and creating confusion among its members. And if they make the argument that, it won't affect reorganization, the truth, and like my senior mentions, reorganization requires you to reconcile properly. If anybody in the MPP tells you that the issues we went through did not affect our ability to reconcile, that person is telling you an untruth. We have had to literally suspend senior members of the party. There were people across the national establishment of the party who today, and let's be honest, today, struggle to come within the fold even though the party is in power. Yeah. So if you, while you were in power, saw us going through these challenges, we thank God that we were able to manage it. But if you saw it, you spoke against it, and today you are deliberately doing the same thing and telling us that, oh, you know, sometimes there's politics and sometimes there's no nuance to it, I think that you're not being honest to yourself. The third thing I want to say, the culture, and as I follow the conversations in the NDC yesterday on radio and TV, the culture, or the complaint from a lot of their grassroots members, that the culture in the NDC of their own leaders seeking their personal gains ahead of party grassroots hasn't changed. Their grassroots argue that this is why they lost contact with the ground and lost the election. What they are doing today suggests to me that that culture has not changed. As Kweku rightly mentioned, why are these regional chairpersons in a rush? It's to secure their own slots. Some of the comments we have heard on radio essentially are to the effect that it is the same class of people who benefited when the former president was in power, to the detriment of everybody else downstairs. They just seek to ring-fence the enterprise so that they can continue to enjoy. And that is not something that they are necessarily going to focus on. And my view is that if this is indeed an orchestrated exercise, then it's going to hurt them more than they think it will help them. What the NDC needs to do, in my view, is to do some very proper introspections, to pay attention to the details of what they are being asked to respond to. Okay. And not to employ some double standards. They say one thing here and then do another thing here. Pay attention to the details, reorganize, because what Ghana needs now is an opposition party that is together, that can put credible alternative views on the table. And we'll later get to the issue of the bond. We have an energy sector legacy debt of 10 billion that is growing, that we are trying to clear. They seem excited with the view that we have failed to clear. No, I'm just wrapping this point up. The transition is so smooth. I'm just wrapping this point up. Let me just wrap this point up. They seem so excited in their own argument that we have failed to clear the debt. But they haven't put an alternative on the table as to what ought to be done. And I'm saying that what we need now is a party that can organize and put alternatives on the table.
All right.
Okay. So we are going straight to Oslo.
Well, the NDC says it's doing exactly that, particularly its group in Parliament, the minority, say they are doing exactly that. They are being a responsible opposition. And that's why they take you on every bond you issue where they find the faults. Now, bring your rebuttal on the back of this nice description of what is happening in the NDC. This is Kwame Sapong-Esiedu. You haven't heard what I'm coming to read yet. Kwame Sapong-Esiedu. He calls himself the village drunkard. He lives somewhere in the United Kingdom. And he says that a man rode a horse into battle. He was so sure of this horse, but lost the battle with 44.4%. He subsequently labeled the horse lame. However, the king's men labeled the jockey as fat and too heavy. They felt he was the reason why the former prolific horse had lost its mojo. Months after losing the battle, the jockey is scheming to ride the same horse into battle again. As if that's not enough, he is aided by the 10 horse trainers who failed to see inequities of the horse and jockey in the last battle. This is the farcical state of the NDC.
Well, his view, which I don't buy. Now, my rebuttal to your position is that the office of the former president reacted swiftly. Indeed, the statement of the 10 regional chairmen was issued on Thursday, and by yesterday, he had reacted.
After the groundswell had started?
No, so I don't think that you speak of a groundswell within 24 hours.
It's a quick rebuttal. We are moving on. We need to go to the next issues. Yeah.
And so, and the other point about we not paying detail to attention.
Attention to detail.
Yes. Yes, we don't pay attention to detail. I disagree with you. We pay attention to detail. Like you said, within the political organizations, no NDC alone, these things are done. But we are saying, I am saying, it's uncalled for, it's needless. It has a tendency of creating more tension. And so within our constitutional structure, they ought to be reprimanded. They should be cautioned to desist from such conduct, so we can see to our reorganization effectively.
Okay.
So
Thank
that
you.
will be it for now.
Thank you. And there's a message from Prince K. Bansa, who is also sending from England. He says that don't be surprised that the actions by the 10 regional chairmen could have been properly coordinated and planned by JM supporters to make it look as if the party was in a dying need of his comeback. These 10 chairmen, who were cardinal architects of JM's defeat in the 2016 elections, seem to miss so much their business of being contractors at the detriment of their core duties as chairman of the party at the regional levels. The action of the 10 chairmen and the subsequent statement from the former president's office, which was even wrongfully dated, is a mere smokescreen, and the earlier the chairman and the advocates of continuity realize their actions are constantly making the party very unpopular. Okay, thank you very much. We'll take a quick break here. We'll return, and when we come back, we check how land is sold as kelewele or toffee.
Toffee?
We'll be right back.
I'm petty.